that you want to be. You just described it.
Yeah. It's just getting there with this paper. It's still at that stage where I usually feel in the beginning of the painting, where I'm at my most stressed, where I have all these different ideas, and I'm trying to picture where it's going to go and envision it, and it's just hard to picture how it's going to get pieced together in a way that's going to work.
Okay, so what about...
And with paint, it's a matter of throwing it on. I can see it. It's all right there. With a paper, I forget from page to page what I've written, right? Because I have a really difficult time with visual memory. So, I'm in the moment on the page that I'm on, and then I'm in the moment on the next page that I'm on, but they don't always go together.
Oh, I totally get that. That's totally how I operate, too.
Yeah.
That's why I had to print off a hard copy and spread it all out.
I tried that, but I've printed off like 5 copies and gone through like a whole thing of paper, and now I'm out of paper. But it's I don't know. I think it'll just keep happening as I putter and go back and forth and up and down. Like even this whole idea of the piece of artwork, which wasn't there until this. Well, it started with the prologue, and then it ended with the epilogue, which that I called it the conclusion, but it made the epilogue. And next thing I noticed was it started to show up in my other chapters. I was rereading methodology, and I started talking about how I was weaving things together and how, my narratives were going to be the main part of the project, but that I would be weaving in contrasting and complementing strands of other people's research within it to strengthen it and to complement and to, contrast with it. And so I think that if I just keep going, the artwork, the piece of art will make its way into
So that's your metaphor for your paper, though, right?
I think so.
And that, I think, will help you tie it all together. Just go through the process as if you were going through the process of creating that artwork. Would it help you to, sort of do another wall? I did one. I don't know if you can see it.
Another one? Yeah.
You can't really see it. It doesn't matter.
I can see it.
It's just stickies. I mean, it's just those big sheets. And I put chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, and then just sort of put the key ideas of what was in there. Because I couldn't flip back. Oh, did you?
I did kind of the same thing here.
If
you look up at the top of my paper. I don't know if you can see it there.
Yep.
I wouldn't know how to turn this to make it work. But anyways, at the top and of course on the desk here beside me.
Yeah.
I'm doing kind of the same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying. Sometimes for the whole paper, but sometimes just for the chapter. Like, chapter 4 is the biggest issue. It's how to organize my data. And I started out using the 5 Ps from the invitational education because I wanted to look at how it fit into every aspect of my teaching. And I like the way the 5 Ps, do you remember them?
Very much, yeah.
All that. I thought, well, this is a great way to make sure it touches every part of my teaching, that I don't just focus on relationships or just focus on my programs and stuff. But then the problem I had was they didn't fit perfectly because it wasn't mine. And so sitting with Jackie, she's like, well, I don't know if I like this word choice of policies because it just doesn't sound like you. And I'm like, no, it doesn't sound like me at all. So I've taken those 5 and trying to make them my own by, like, instead of saying people, I'm saying, making connections and relationships. Instead of saying, well, I haven't figured out what to say instead of programming. Programming is just sort of how I decide how I guide, what are we going to do and how are we going to do it as a class. How I guide the curriculum, the choices of projects,
Is that not the story? Is that not the story?
I don't know. This is like the hands-on part. It's like the what are we going to make part.
Oh, there we go again. See, there's the art coming in again. Think of it from that perspective.
Because that policies is how do we set up the studio, right? It's the environment of the studio. But then there's another part that she wasn't keen on that was places, which kind of fits with that. So what would the studio look like if it were a classroom?
What would it feel like?
What would it look like and what would it feel like? So, but that also, I had procedures in there too, though. Procedures is things like just the way that we tend to do things, like the marble jar. You know about the marble jar?
Yeah.
And the YEIs and having technicians in the room, each person having their job. The technicians that's how I
Yeah.
help my students with LD feel comfortable.
So what would you call that from a creating art perspective?
And that's the hard part, is now I've gone from thinking of it as creating artwork to thinking of it as creating my studio, right? But
okay, so well, same thing though. So creating your studio, what would that be? Sorry, because I'm having trouble now.
Yeah, I've kind of gone from the metaphor of.
Do you not have to create the studio before you can create the art?
Yeah. Well, you have to, maybe it's the stretching the canvas and setting up the foundations. Because policies, rules, procedures, and places, that's essentially what that is. That's making a strong, stable structure upon which to place the programming and the ideas and the people, right? And the programming and the ideas, I don't know, the people are the subject matter. But then the programming and the ideas are how we decide to do it. And that makes sense, because when I talked about using all the different people from history and all of the different styles from history, what I was thinking was different ways of teaching, the different methodologies of teaching. Not methodologies of research, but methodologies of teaching, whereas the students are the subject matter. And they're the relationships, that's the relationships are the communicative message that come out in a painting, right? Because the subject matter, the words, that's me communicating with other people.
And there's life-affirming energy in that piece too, right? That communicative. That's, to me, that's the life-affirming energy.
Life-affirming energy comes when people react positively to it and connect to it. But
not necessarily just positively, though.
No, and when they just connect with it and, and we interact with it and we
they resonate.
It. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Now, what about life-affirming energy in the structure of the piece? Because I thought life-affirming energy was looking for evidence in my research that I had, in fact, done the things that I say I was going to do. So the life-affirming energy was the student responses when I made changes in my teaching based on their voice, right? Because one of my values is empowerment. And so when I did get together with them and have interviews, their response to having interviews was amazing. They were just constantly like, when are we meeting again? Let's do this more, you know? Oh, look, we're doing the things that we said we were going to do. I guess that just can come within the chapter. I think life-affirming energy kind of comes all the way through, because isn't that kind of the evidence that I am living the values?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Programming and activities. And the life-affirming energy is their passion in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the program and activities. And me as an artist, life-affirming energy is when I'm passionate about the choices I made in my programming.
Your life-affirming energy is just when you're being you.
Yeah.
Which is all those things.
Right.
Because when you're just being your...
Empathetic resonance comes up with the people one.
Yeah.
A lot more. Whereas life-affirming energy is kind of all the way through, because it's me being passionate about what I'm doing and others being passionate about the things that we're doing together.
Yeah, I'm not even so sure about passion. I mean, yeah, passion is a part of it. I'm just thinking in my own experience, and it's more about just being honest with myself. When I let go of that, of whatever is holding me back, and I just be me, that's when you see the life-affirming energy. That's when you can feel it. It's the trust thing again, Megan. So I just wrote, I was just brainstorming. Let me see if I can find it. Because I'm getting ready to do, I've started chapter 4 and I'm thinking about chapter 5. I'm putting you off my screen now. So, I'm like you, I'm thinking about chapter 5 as I'm writing chapter 4 and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wrote for Oh, actually, I think it was chapter 4. I don't even think of the chapters like the Brock outline anymore. I just think of them in terms of my exhibition.
So go back to the right painting then.
Yeah. Chapter 4 is actually, introducing the living wall in chapter 4.
Oh, okay. So you are including that as a piece of artwork.
Oh, it is a piece of artwork, isn't it? You told me it was.
No, I was worried that maybe you were thinking it was just painting. That was
Oh,
the artwork,
no, not at all. Yeah.
The writing and the wall is as much a part of the art as anything else. In fact, it was the wall that inspired me earlier on, thinking this is like a piece of art that
Yeah.
we're creating here.
You saw the art in that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the beginning.
It's okay.
Oh, that can't be it. Yeah, okay. Sometimes when I see you struggling with the visual thing, I think, you know what? I think, I'm not saying this to undermine your struggles, but I think I have a learning disability too. And I don't think I've ever figured it out.
That's a very common response that I get when I talk about it too.
Yeah.
Because, really, it's things that other people find amplified, right?
Yeah.
And the only really justification that I have is if you looked at the testing, you'd find things like oral reasoning scoring in the 95th percentile and visual memory scoring in the 5th.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference.
Yeah.
Right? Which is hilarious because I went into visual arts and my visual memory is actually my area of strongest need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hilarious. I always thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
And that's really why my painting takes the form of trusting the process and just keep. My one drawing teacher used to say that I didn't draw, I knitted. What I would do is I would scribble, and I would start to look for the picture in the scribble. And as it started to look right, I would darken certain areas and lighten other areas, and I would keep scribbling, and he called it knitting. And that's my style of drawing that nobody else seems to do, because it's not that I can remember what I want to draw and see it on the page. It's that I need to reveal what was already there. Until it looks like what it was meant to be.
Megan, that's what you're doing with students.
And that's what I always tell my kids when they're doing their own artwork, too. Is just trust in that it will happen, and when it has happened, you'll recognize it. So.
I hope we can get this, are you recording this in any way?
I tried, but it's still trying to access my computer.
Okay.
So I'll remember the knitting, and I'll remember most of it.
You know what, though, Megan? I think we can wrap up here because it's pretty long. But I think that just watching it again will be a huge benefit.
You think so?
Yeah. I promise you. Okay, it's worth the investment because that's what I've done. And it's only when I watch it a second time, a third time that I go, oh, and I, like you're way faster at me than making connections. But I still think by watching it again, you'll peel off another layer. Okay. So.
I haven't talked about yours yet, though.
Well, no, I just wanted to share the trust thing with you, and I can't find it because I'm looking for it. I just jotted it down somewhere. I thought.
You don't have to find it, though.
Yeah. Basically, I said, "Oh, I know. I'll send it to you when I find it. I know where it is." But so, what I'm going to do is, hang on. I wonder if I can stop this now. I think you can. I think I can. This little chat, Megan, is so rich with everything you need.